Stephanie Nicole Garcia-Colas, will you marry me?
So many fantastic moments from this weekend.
Epic sports weekend right there.
Hey everyone, welcome to SI Now. It is Monday, April 3rd. I'm Maggie Gray.
And I'm Madeline Burke.
Okay, Madeline, would you like to be proposed to in front of 75,000 people?
That's a big stage right there. I mean, John Cena, that's a romantic gesture, but wow.
You're sharing it with 75,000 people in the stadium and then hundreds of thousands watching around the world. When I got engaged, my husband proposed to me on the top of a cliff, which I thought was very brave.
That is a very brave move. Glad you didn't say no.
No, I didn't say no, nor did anyone get pushed up. Okay, obviously tonight, in the end, two top seeds remain in college basketball. Gonzaga and North Carolina tips at 9:20 p.m. Eastern. For a look ahead, let's welcome in the head coach for the Hofstra Pride, Joe Mahalik. And Coach, really appreciate you joining us to break down some X's and O's here. So the Tar Heels back in this game after losing a heartbreaker at the buzzer a year ago. If you were Roy Williams, do you bring up last year's game in your speech to the team tonight, or do you ignore it?
Well, hey, Maggie, good to see you, and thanks for having me on. I don't think he has to. I don't think he has to bring it up. I think the kids all know that if they weren't there playing in it, they watched it, and they felt it and lived it. And I'm sure it'll serve as motivation because that's what the great teams do.
Okay, we saw Mark Few of Gonzaga doing handstands in the locker room. Coach, we know that was your move, and he just took it from you. They appear very loose. Should the Zags feel like they're just playing with house money, or are they feeling pressure to win this title tonight?
Well, that's a great question. I don't know that they'd feel pressure because I think North Carolina will feel some pressure because they, feel like they should have won it last year and didn't. So I don't think they'll feel pressure. I think the hard part is to get there for them, and they're there, and they could do something really special right now. So, it's a really good team. It's going to be a great game.
Now, Coach, this could be a battle of the bigs. Shem Karnowski and Kennedy Meeks are our adrenaline performers presented by Toyota. Let's go places. Now, Carolina dominates the boards, the best in offensive rebounds in the country, but Gonzaga's Karnowski and Zach Collins kind of pose a different threat down low. We've pegged this game as a battle of the bigs. Who do you give the edge to in the front court?
Wow. Boy, you guys ask tough questions.
No easy ones, Coach.
Some easy ones. Usually you talk about guards, and both teams have great guards, but, well, you're so right. The big guy for Gonzaga, my goodness, I don't want to mispronounce his name because he's too big.
Yeah.
But when big people guard him, he still looks big. He's just a mountain of a man. He's tough to move around. He's a space eater. That is going to be the game within the game right there, and it's such a coin toss. I'm always one that believes in speed and quickness. I feel like the Carolina front court is almost as big and maybe a little quicker, and the speed's a little better. And they probably, through the course of the year, have played against some better front lines. So since you've asked me, and I have to give you an answer, I'm going to give the slight edge to North Carolina's front court.
All right. Now, if Shem, though, big Shem Karnowski does eat up space, as you've said, and, UNC is forced to be a jump shooting team kind of out of their element, how did the Tar Heels adjust their approach in that pursuit?
Well, I feel like they're an up-tempo team. I feel like they're going to try to make the game, spread the court out a little bit and get it going up and down a little bit so that if it becomes a half-court game, I think that really would benefit Gonzaga a little bit more. But Carolina's always been a fast-paced, up-tempo team, and pace is so important to them. If they can play their style a little bit more than Gonzaga's, that's going to help them. But that's a lot easier said than done. We've all tried to do that.
Yeah, of course, their floor general coach, Carolina guard Joel Berry, he's limited because of his ankle injuries. So is it possible he could become a liability in this game? And then if you're Roy Williams, how do you decide whether or not to take him out?
Boy, once again, another tough question. I think you got to go with him.
Today.
There you go. I think you go with the guy that brought you there. That's him. It's the last game of the year. He's gonna suck it up and just give it everything he has. But at some point in time, since it is the last game, at some point in time, I'm sure Roy Williams will feel like if he's not getting it done, he's gonna have to put somebody else in there.
I can't imagine what it must have been like for you watching as a coach as Carolina's missing free throws at the end of the game. This is like every coach's nightmare. They miss four free throws in the last 6 seconds. So what impact could it have if the Tar Heels miss early free throws in tonight's game?
Meg, I have to share this with you. It's a little bit of a digression, but as I'm watching that, I'm talking to the head coach at University of Pennsylvania, Steve Donahue, and the topic was this. When you're leading late in the game and you're shooting a foul shot, do you put your offensive rebounders in there to try to get a rebound or send them back to set up your defense. And I said, of course, we'd have lost the game if I was coach. I said, you send them back. You send them back to set your defense up. You don't put any rebounders in there. Well, I think if North Carolina would have done that, I think they would have lost the game because, they missed a free throw and Oregon pushes up. They're going to get a shot and who knows, maybe Oregon wins the game. So there you go. But it is a contagious thing. Those guys have been doing it for a long time. I think they're good foul shooters. If you're going to look back and think about missing them before, then you're going to miss them. And I think they'll be tough enough to not look back and realize, okay, the game's over. We're good foul shooters. We're going to make them tonight.
Now, Coach, depth is another storyline that we're kind of looking at here. 5 Gonzaga players average at least 10 points a game, whereas Carolina has been a bit more reliant on Justin Jackson, Joel Berry, Kennedy Meeks to score. Is the depth an advantage here at all?
Well, I've always felt like those media timeouts, they come quick and they're awful long. You can rest every 4 minutes. So, those guys are used to it. Again, it's what are you used to? North Carolina's used to not having so much depth. They're used to playing, with just the same amount of guys most of the game. I think they're going to be just fine. And same thing with Gonzaga. They're used to doing what they do. So I'm not sure that's going to play into it either way.
Coach Joe Mahalik. Coach, next time we'll have you on, we're going to talk a little bit about your Hofstra pride. Obviously, we're just looking ahead to the championship game today, but congrats on another great season, and we always appreciate your perspective. Thanks. Sorry for the hard questions this morning, but you passed with flying colors.
That was good. You guys are great. Keep doing what you do. It's fun to be with you. Thanks for everything.
All right, we'll talk to you again soon. Really appreciate that, Coach.
Bye-bye.
Of course, South Carolina fans have to be a little bit conflicted this morning, okay? The women won the national championship yesterday, so congratulations, but the men were eliminated in the Final Four. Now, the real loss here for all of us is we no longer get to see the many faces of Coach Frank Martin on the sideline.
Quite expressive he is.
Yeah. Here's a look back at the biggest moments of the tournament, all told through Frank's face.
No, Maggie, I don't think there's a more accurate way to reflect on the tournament than that right there.
The many faces of Frank. Nice job, Harry.
Now, what face will define tonight's game? Let's continue the college basketball conversation and head to Phoenix with SI senior writer Michael Rosenberg. Comes your way courtesy of Toyota. Let's go places. Now, Michael, you're in Phoenix. You're there. You see the vibe around these two teams right now. What would it mean if Carolina wins tonight?
Well, I think it would mean everything to those players. I think for media, for fans, we're just so used to North Carolina being in this all the time. Those guys have not won a championship. Obviously, they were, one overtime away if they were to get there last year from doing it. That's something they'll carry with them forever. So I really think it means just as much to those players as it does to the Gonzaga players. To the program, obviously, it's a little bit different.
Well, and you mentioned how close they were last year. I mean, if they lose again this year, how devastating is it to go 2 straight championships and lose 2 straight championships?
I will probably feel guilty walking in the locker room to ask them that question afterward, but we'll have to do it. That would be very difficult. I mean, they've shown such resilience. They've really handled all the questions about Chris Jenkins and Villanova and last year and Marcus Page so well. You saw it on Saturday night. Even when things don't go their way, they just kind of make the next play. But they've done all this, obviously, thinking that they can go out and win another title. I mean, that's when you're one of the best teams in the country. That's how you think. And probably 6 of those 8 best teams are gone and 2 are left. And whoever loses, it's going to be a long summer.
Takes such mental toughness to get so close, lose like how they did, and then get back here again. That's an achievement in itself. Let's talk about the Zags side of things. Mark Few took over this program in 1999 and turned the Zags into a national power. They're in their first ever national championship game. So, Michael, we know the perception around the Zags has already changed, but what would a national championship do for the team and the school?
Well, it would be, to me, one of the most amazing stories that I've seen in sports, and not because of this year. This year, they're clearly good enough. But if you would have just told me in 1998, when they first made, I think, their big tournament run under Dan Monson, that they would someday be a national power and win the national title. I don't know anyone in college basketball that could have believed that. So it would be no doubt bigger for their program than North Carolina. I mean, we know North Carolina is going to be back. We know they're going to be great. But for Gonzaga to do this, it would end all the questions about them. It would just put them right there among the top programs in the country in everybody's mind, not just the people inside the game.
Fewer than 5,000 undergrads, no football. I mean, it really is remarkable what they've been able to do in Spokane. You know, if we just take a broader view, both of these teams are led by upperclassmen. And aside from Tony Bradley and Zach Collins, Michael, tonight's game's not going to feature basically any freshmen. Is this year's tournament showing us that it is better to have a veteran team than a collection of very talented one-and-done players?
Well, I don't think John Calipari is going to tell his recruiting class not to come. I'll say that. You know, I think what we've seen in college basketball, there was this panic over the one-and-dones, especially I think when Kentucky won in 2012. And what we've seen is there are a lot of different ways to do this. I mean, you can have a blend of a one-and-done with some veteran players. You can have veteran players like these two teams have. Or you can do it the way Duke did it 2 years ago and the way Kentucky did it once and has almost done it again, where you have a lot of those guys. Now, there's only a couple of programs that can get a lot of them. But I actually think it's made college basketball more interesting just as a spectator because you do have these different approaches and different ways to do it. And it's made it fun because you do see the teams that have those third and fourth year guys who are not going to maybe have the NBA careers that some of those one-and-done guys do, but they're better college players.
You know, Michael, got to ask you, what's the vibe? How you feeling? I mean, college basketball is so hard to predict, but who do you like tonight?
I like this game to go down to the last minute. I just cannot concoct a scenario when one of these teams blows the other one out. I mean, North Carolina has shown that even when they look like they're going to blow somebody out, it ends up being a close game. And I think they're too good to get blown out. I think it's going to come down to the last minute or so. I think North Carolina is probably a little bit better team. But in one game with teams this close, it's probably just a toss-up.
Yeah, we're looking forward to an exciting one tonight. Michael Rosenberg is on the ground, Phoenix, Arizona. Enjoy tonight, Michael. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right. Guys, it's opening day. Well, the real opening day. Of course, we had 3 games on Sunday night. Today, 12 games on the slate, including the Indians at the Texas Rangers. And last week, I sat down with the Indians ace, Corey Kluber, as they are, well, trying to get back to the promised land. Watch this. Cy Young winner Corey Kluber joins us on behalf of Carhartt Helmets to Hard Hats. We're going to talk more about that in just a moment. All right, the last time that we saw you pitching was the World Series. You won games 1 and 4. Game 7, it became an all-time classic. How much have you been looking forward to opening day, considering how Game 7 ended?
Yeah, I think that our whole team is definitely looking forward to getting the year started. You know, obviously it didn't end the way we wanted it to last year, but you know, I think that we're moving past that and we're looking towards 2017. We know that, you know, the accomplishments that we made last year aren't going to really do us any good this year, so we're looking forward to kind of a fresh start and going out there and trying to win the World Series.
You mentioned it, accomplishment. It was an accomplishment, and the series was epic. I mean, it captured every sports fan's attention. Has enough time passed where you can appreciate being part of something so big, even if you didn't win?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, initially it was tough, you know, to get over it and stuff. But I think the more time you step back and you're able to appreciate what we were able to accomplish, you know, being shorthanded, being the underdog in the series. Obviously, you know, we would have loved to have won it, but you know, I think in the grand scheme of things, it hopefully gave us some experience that we can fall back on.
What do you know about this group, this 2017 group, that makes you think you can move past last season and get another shot at the World Series?
I think the most exciting thing is, well, first of all, we're getting not only the addition of Edwin Encarnacion, but we also get back Michael Brantley, Carlos Carrasco, Danny Salazar. So, you know, none of them were able to help us last year, you know, through that playoff run. So that first and foremost is exciting. But I think it's also the mentality that we have. There's not really anybody in that locker room who's satisfied with what we did last year, or, you know, has the approach of just showing up and thinking that we're going to get back there. I think everybody's done a really good job from the get-go of preparing ourselves and you know, having the mindset that this year's a new year, and you know, just because we made it to Game 7 of the World Series last year, it's not a given to get back there this year.
You just mentioned not only the players that you're going to get back healthy this year, but some of the additions that you've made. Most people are talking about the Cubs as the favorite to win the World Series. Should they be talking about the Indians?
They can talk about the Cubs all they want. I think that's not our focus, is whether or not we're considered a favorite. I think that, inside of that locker room, our expectations are going to be higher for ourselves than anybody else's are. So I think as long as we continue to hold ourselves to that standard, then we'll be just fine.
You've gotten the ball on opening day before, but what will 2017 opening day mean to you?
I think each opening day is special. It's obviously the beginning of the new season, and for baseball fans, which I think we all are, that's a special day. It's almost like a holiday in and of itself. So I'm looking forward to, getting the year started, and hopefully it'll be a special one for us.
Before we get to Carhartt, which I promise we will get to, we want to do this thing that we're calling anything but baseball. I just did this with Steph Curry. Okay. He really liked it, so I'm hoping that you will also. Here are just a couple things.
Give it a shot.
Who's the best trash talker in baseball?
Best trash talker in baseball? I don't really engage in too much trash talking with other guys. I kind of keep to myself. But as far as on our team, Jason Kipnis likes to get in his fair share.
Your birthday's coming up, Corey, April 11th. What's the best birthday present you've ever gotten?
Best birthday present? Probably a baseball glove when I was younger.
When was the last time you pulled the I'm Corey Kluber Cy Young winner card?
Never. And I hope I never do.
LeBron James was a staple at the Indians playoff games. Schedule permitting, would you return the favor and go to some Cavs playoffs games?
Yeah, we've gone to their playoff games the last couple of years, and it's always a good time. Obviously, they'll be back in the postseason this year, so hopefully there's some times that work out where we're able to make it over there across the street.
Okay, you're participating in the Helmets to Hard Hats initiative. This is fantastic. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it's a program that Carhartt's involved in for veterans. I'm part of the Carhartt starting rotation with myself, Jacob deGrom, Chris Sale, Felix Hernandez, and Michael Fulmer. And basically, it's for every strikeout one of the five of us has this season, $100 is donated to Helmets to Hard Hats.
That's going to be a significant amount of money. Is there a goal that you're trying to reach?
That's the idea, yeah.
Yeah, is there a goal you're trying to reach to help out this great cause?
If the five of us are able to amass more strikeouts than any other five pitchers in the next best starting rotation in baseball, then they will donate a $25,000 bonus.
That's fantastic. Helmetstohardhats.org is the website where you can find more information. Why is this important to you, Corey?
I think it's important to me just for a lot of reasons, but I think first and foremost just to try to give back to the people who give us the opportunity to do what we do every day, and the privileges that we take for granted that we wouldn't have without them.
Corey Kluber is a Cy Young winner. Corey, we're really looking forward to another season of Indians baseball. Really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Some good stuff from Kluber there, and I appreciate the humility that he doesn't pull the Corey Kluber. I'm Corey Kluber
well,
card.
Steph Curry told us that yes, he does pull the Steph Curry card when he needs to get restaurant reservations.
Why wouldn't you?
He said he pulled it for sure.
But big stuff for him. Opening day today. Do you have your favorite opening day memory?
I never went to opening day as a fan, but from covering baseball, I've been to a couple opening days, and I've been to two quick stories. One was at the New York Mets one year. A year before, I remember the Mets players had been devastated by injuries, just everything from tweaked hamstrings to blown knees and elbows, and just the team was the Walking Dead. And on opening day, they announce every person who's involved with the organization. No matter who you are, you get announced to the crowd. And I remember they announced the head strength and conditioning coach, and the person got booed. Oh my God! The year before,
wasn't doing his job, clearly.
Just such rousing boos for the strength and conditioning conditioning person. And I was like, wow, these Mets fans are pretty smart. And then another one was Yankees opening day. And I believe it was George Steinbrenner. It must have been his daughter, or maybe it was his granddaughter. She was singing the national anthem. And at some point, when the TV broadcast starts, you get locked in and you can't get away. And I ended up being behind her, basically photobombing her the entire thing. I couldn't move. Keith Olbermann was right behind me. He's sitting in the front row seat. And I was getting text messages furiously from people like, what the hell are you doing in my opening day? Maggie, get out of there. Just move. And I'm like, deer in headlights. Like, no, I'm so sorry. I just completely ruined opening day. Sorry, Yankees. It was me.
Sorry.
What about you?
I mean, being from LA, I feel like every opening day is just another chance to see the Dodgers get it going. I mean, they haven't won the World Series since the year I was born, so I'd like to see them make it there, get motivation there. And every opening day, I'm just like, you know what, maybe this is the year.
Yeah, listen, it's eternal hope, right? Opening day. You know who's hopeful? The Minnesota Timberwolves. They may not be a playoff team this season, but with a big man like Karl-Anthony Towns, the future is very bright. I spoke with the former top pick and the Rookie of the Year last week. Karl-Anthony Towns joins us on behalf of the We Need More campaign. And gosh, we feel like we've known you for a long time. It was just over 3 years ago, you were a guest on this show, and we want to show you a clip from that appearance. Let's roll it.
NBA is always the goal. But I worked so hard in my life to be in the NBA and see my parents in the stadiums watching me play. But for me right now, I have to focus on one thing. That's right now in my high school season, winning a state championship, winning a TOC championship, and also preparing for my freshman year at Kentucky.
Oh my gosh, you look like a baby. Does that seem like it was just over 3 years ago?
It's amazing how time flies. I know I have a lot more facial hair than I had back then.
You know what's funny is, your father, Carl Sr., was with you in that interview. Not once did he ever make it about himself. It was all about you. And we're not really seeing that a lot these days. Sometimes the parents like to overshadow the kid. I mean, take us through your relationship with him. How did he navigate you being such a top prospect and him being proud yet not overshadowing?
I think for my father, just, he understood that I loved the game. I loved it tremendously, and it was a true love I had for the game, something that he let me organically grow over time. So he was just extremely proud that I chased my dreams, and I was just continuing to fight to achieve my goals. And for him, I think that he was just happy that, he's seeing his son do so well in the world, and just wanted to share the moment with me, obviously, but also remember that it's always my moment, and just be there for support.
Yeah, I mean, he was never said, my kid's going to be the #1 draft pick, my kid's better than your kid. In fact, it seems like on the outside, you really accomplished all of those goals that we were even talking about 3.5 years ago. What's been the sweetest moment from that journey, from that high school senior we saw to now?
I think it had to be June 25th. I mean, just to make it to the NBA and be the #1 pick is a huge honor. It's a huge blessing, and to have the opportunity to play for the Minnesota Timberwolves is a dream come true. I'm truly blessed with this opportunity to play here in such a great city with such great fans, and to just see my dreams come true from a little boy wanting to be in the NBA, watching NBA TV all the time, watching NBA games, and now to be part of the NBA game is truly it's a mind-blowing experience. And just to think about, I was just a kid in Piscataway having hoop dreams, and now I'm living them.
What's been the most challenging?
I think that for me it's just, trying to find a way to win. Like I said before, me and my dad, winning has always been hand in hand with us, just finding ways to win. And now, being part of Timberwolves, obviously, our record is not what we would like it to be, but we are continuously working, progressing as being towards being the team that we want to be. And I think we're doing a great job right now. So, the rings will hopefully come sooner than later.
The team lost this significant piece in Zach LaVine. I think a lot of people sort of spelled doom for the Minnesota Timberwolves, but really that did not happen. You guys are 11-13, holding steady. Why has the team been better without him?
It's not that we're better without him at all. I think that's something that people are seeing wrong. I think that we are just sharpening. We had to really come together, especially with Zach being out, to accomplish or have a chance to accomplish our dreams and goals. So, we had to pick up our defense, had to pick up our offense. When you lose a player like Zach like that, it's not one player that fills in for him. It's a whole team. It's a team initiative. It's a team effort. So we all came together and we had to pick up the pieces to give ourselves the best chance to win games.
Your coach is known for being really intense. We can actually hear him sort of screaming your name on the local Minnesota broadcasts. Who's more intense, him or Kevin Garnett?
Oh, they both were with each other, so they probably both rubbed off on each other with the intensity. So I don't know. I think KG probably is more intense.
We're getting to see a little bit on these Area 21 segments for Inside the NBA. How much is that what you saw, or how much more intense is what you saw than what we're get to see on television?
I mean, it's different. I never thought that KG would ever be part of Area 21, but I love the show amazingly, and I think that he's so great at what he does. So whenever KG puts something on his mind and he puts his effort into it, it's always going to end up being well thought out and very good.
Okay, when you did that interview with us when you were just in high school, you told us that one day you want to be a doctor. We know that your studies has always been really important to you, even just your 1 year at Kentucky at a 4.0 GPA. You're here on behalf of the We Need More campaign. Can you tell us about it?
It's amazing. I think that to be with such a great company like Verizon and be able to talk about such great things, the We Need More initiative is about just bringing science, technology, engineering, and math to kids around the world, and also showing, how important it is to understand these topics, and also with so many jobs becoming more and more available every day, to understand these topics, have the supplies, the knowledge to do it, is going to bring so many more people into the world and give them so much more opportunity. So I'm so glad to be here to bring awareness to it and be able to show the world that how important these topics truly are.
Yeah, we can see the website behind you, the WeNeedMore.com. It's a fantastic campaign. One more before we let you go. Obviously, March Madness is here. We saw De'Aaron Fox. Carl, he was so distraught after Kentucky lost.
Everybody talked about, how we looked like we didn't care. And, this isn't the locker room that looked like the guys don't care. I love my brothers, man.
Then on the flip side, you see Lonzo Ball, and we're no body language experts, but he seems like he's just sort of looking ahead to the NBA, and he's sort of ready to put college behind him. When you guys lost that great Kentucky team, how were you feeling? Were you more like De'Aaron Fox, or were you more just looking ahead to the NBA and you knew you had this bigger goal in mind?
I was definitely more like De'Aaron. I was very upset, with the opportunity that has slipped away from me in my career. We all were like that. We all were very emotional about the loss we had just took. And, it was even worse for us because it was our first loss. We didn't know how to deal with it yet. So, I think that for us, it was such a moment because we understood that we all weren't going to be with each other again, no matter what happened. And for us to have such a historic run to come to that kind of close was not something that we ever thought would happen.
Is it a misconception that just because you're one and done doesn't mean you don't care?
I think that is a true misconception. I love Kentucky with all my heart and my soul. So everyone who knows me knows I'm a Wildcat to the day I die.
Karl-Anthony Towns, we appreciate it. Listen, wishing you all the best from that young high school senior to now. It is so great to see you blossoming in the NBA. And again, the WeNeedMore.com is where you can find information about the campaign. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
I was just so happy that we had that interview because he was like a child and he was so poised then, and now to see what he's doing in the NBA is
so young.
phenomenal.
It was adorable.
I know how much people change in 3.5 years.
Right.
All right, who do you got in the game tonight?
I'm going Gonzaga. I would hate to see the heartbreak on North Carolina, but I think Gonzaga's got this.
Okay, I'm going to go North Carolina on this one. I think they have this sort of mission. They won't be stopped. I think they're a little more versatile, too, get up and down the court a little bit, but we know it's probably going to be a fantastic game.
That's for sure.
This has been so much fun.
It's been such a blast. Thank you for having me. It's going to do it for today's edition for SI Now.
I know, Monday's in the books, but
Monday.
we'll
no
be
more
back.
The Mondays.
We'll be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Eastern to react to the national championship game. But of course, for all the latest sports news, stick with SI.com. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at SI Now Live. Enjoy the game tonight. Enjoy 12 baseball games today, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Happy opening day.